こんにちは、ハリケーンフットボールです。今回の教材は、クリスタルパレスの鎌田大地に関する動画です。クリスタルパレスは、プレミアリーグ第29節で、トッテナムホットスパーと対戦し、3対1の快勝を収めました。鎌田大地は、先発フル出場し、ゴールやアシストはなかったものの、堅実なパフォーマンスを見せました。今回は、パレスファンのプレイヤーレーティングの動画から、2アシストと大活躍をしたボランチのパートナーである、アダム・ウォートンと鎌田大地の部分を切り取っています。ウォートンが良すぎたという見方もありますが、ウォートンが輝いているのは、確かに鎌田大地が隣にいるからであり、鎌田自身のパフォーマンスも十分に良かったと話し、喜んでいます。実際にどのように話しているのか、チェックしてみましょ
We move on to one of the stars of the game, and that would be Adam Wharton. I gave him a 9, he gave him a 9. You may go first, but I'm going to pop this up. A new graphic, people. Check this out. Your thoughts on how he played? Brilliant.
Yeah, I thought he was unbelievable. Just edged out by someone for man of the match. I think that's pretty obvious.
Wait,
what it is.
I'm sorry, Zay. Before you go on, I'm sorry for people listening. I gave him a 9. Zay gave him a 9. I both gave him a 9. But go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I thought he was brilliant. That pass for the second Sarr goal is as good as a pass I've seen in a very long time. I remember when I was watching it live with a couple friends at the pub, and I thought he had actually overhit it a bit, which is why Sarr needed to stretch before getting to it. And then I watched it again, and it was like that ball, it was exactly where it needed to be. Like it was the exact perfect weight. I don't know who was on the chase there, to be honest. Was it Porro maybe? I can't remember who the ball got played in behind. Might have been.
I think it was Porro because he had his hands up a couple.
Yeah,
times.
he had his hands up. Yeah,
right.
So I think it was him. But yeah, it was like the perfect. So like Porro couldn't get anywhere near it, and he knew Sarr would have enough pace to get there. And it was also in a space where Vicario couldn't rush out and get there. But it's not generally one of the best passes I've seen in a while. Then obviously that was the second assist of the match. His first assist, perfect weight on the ball for Sarr Larson. So Sarr Larson doesn't need to get a touch, doesn't need to cut it back inside. Just lets it roll across him and hits it low and quick, through Vicario's legs, for what eventually ended up being a winner. And I thought he was great. And again, I think there's been a tick up in his performance recently, and I think, this match against Spurs, I think it's the best he's played in a couple months. And it's, looking like it was, toward the beginning of the season when I thought he was, when we were in the midst of, that 19-game unbeaten run, I thought he was unplayable. So again, he changes so much for us. Like he just uses the ball so well. The way he receives it is so good. Like even the Canvo pass, like I was talking, in detail about, how good that Canvo pass is. But Wharton, and you can see it on a video that Palace Socials posted it. The amount of work he does in terms of his scanning and making sure he's receiving the ball on his back foot to make sure that he can play the ball immediately, with his left foot.
Point.
Very it's so good. Like these are the things, and that's why I like him so much. These things that don't seem particularly important, they don't seem that difficult. But then, people who play football or people who even watch football, at a high level, understand that like those things don't happen that often. Like these are not very regular things, and that's why the things that he does and the things that he adds to a side are so important. Because it seems so easy to talk about, make sure that you're receiving the ball on, your back foot. So it's even easier for you, to make a pass, making sure that you're scanning to make sure, how much time is around you before you can make the pass. All these things seem really simple, or things that top level football should be doing, but like they just don't do it at the level that he does. And he's so good at that. And I'm very happy to see him get some end product. We're now talking about 3 assists in the last couple of matches, between the one against Mostar and then, the 2 the other day against Spurs. He's now up to 7 assists for the season. He's not scoring goals in a way that, he would like. And he's definitely got unlucky. He's hit the bar a couple of times this season, but, it's a decent chance he hits double-digit assists, which is, talking about a deep-lying player. That's obvious. I mean, it's a great return. But I was just really pleased with his performance. And again, there's just a lot of, the way Glasgow system works. Everything kind of has to be, in tune. Everyone has to be in the same kind of rhythm. But I have long thought, we really go as the wingbacks and the center midfielders are going. Like the wingbacks are getting forward in the ways that they should be and creating chances, getting up and down the line as they should be. And the center midfielders are, winning possession, higher up the pitch and allowing us to play and, turn those transitions, into counterattacks, dangerous counterattacks, that we could do something from, getting our, straight direct line runners, in behind. Like those are the key things. And Wharton was really good at that on Thursday. Just really, really pleased with his performance. I thought it was as good as he's played all season.
Totally agree. I want to touch on continue what you said about the way that we play. I think additional to the wing back play has been people have complained about the way the centre backs have gotten way too many touches and playing sideways and backwards. But when you look at now Riyad and Convo playing those line breaking passes, and when you're playing the balls into players like Kamada and Wharton, and you mentioned how Wharton will check his shoulder, scan, and then look for that next pass into Cassandra, or in this case, into Strand Larsen, into Sarr. It's a different dimension. That's why I was never one to complain or talk about the system, change the system, because it's not about the numbers, the 3-4-3, the 3-4-2-1, the 4-2-3-1, the 4-4-2. It's how you utilize the players in and out of possession. And I think one of the reasons why Wharton has played so well the last few games is one, I'll say it again, people don't want to hear it, is one, is having Kamada next to him makes it a big difference. And having Riyad and Lacroix and Richards and Nkambu, whichever the centre backs are playing balls forward to them and having movement by Sarr and Gassand, and if it's Johnson or Pino, has been a massive difference. And you're right, Zave, he's become a different player. I highly recommend, I'm sure people have already, go back and watch the All Access. Go and watch, if you can, on the Palace website, the goals, individual goals, the balls by Wharton and Wharton to Strand Larsen and Sarr. They're perfect. People are hanging in the Louvre. Those passes are so good. They're brilliant. I I had the stats up: 81 minutes, 81% passing, 54 touches, 2 assists, 5 duels, 5 recoveries. But that doesn't tell the story. Again, watch those goals. The goals are brilliant. And I just have to say, I thought that was one of the best performances I've seen from a Palace player in a long time. And those passes by Wharton are absolutely brilliant. His partner, very quickly, Daichi Kamada, I gave him a 7.5. He gave him a 7. Again, I think a lot of what Wharton does well is because that Kamada allows him to do it. People don't really understand that when they talk about, well, what has Daichi done? Well, Daichi, to me, is a very important part. And I think last year when we went on that run, it was because of Daichi and Wharton. I think that's hopefully going to happen again. 45 out of 48 passes, 494%, misplaced only 3 passes, 60 touches, 2 in the opposition's box, 1 out of 2 successful dribbles, 4 tackles, 2 recoveries, 5 out of 11 ground duels. I thought he played really well. There was some interplay with him and Gassan, so you can see him and Gassan are starting to get a nice little relationship, and we're also with Mitchell. Richard wins a header at 64th minute. It falls to Kamada on a counter attack. He plays the ball to Gassan. Plays a nice ball later on, or earlier on actually, into Sarr. Just went a little bit too far. I just thought he played a really overall solid game. Your thoughts on how Kamada played?
Yeah, not much to add to that, to be honest. I thought, he was a tick below, Wharton. But I thought he used the ball really well. I can't remember. I was looking at it before we started. But the pass completion, I remember being ridiculous. I think he only misplaced 2 passes, if I'm remembering that correctly. And again, his combativeness is always.
Yeah, it was actually 45 out of 48 was the misplaced 3
passes. Yeah. So I thought he used the ball well, and I thought he's combative. And again, the two of them work together really well. It's good to see, both of them in terms of, talking about Wharton and Kamada. Just good to see them, both back on the pitch and playing together and seeming to enjoy their football a bit more recently. So, I was quite pleased with Daichi's performance as well.
次は解説です。今回も難しいボキャブラリーはほとんどありませんでしたので、口語的な表現や簡単だけどネイティブらしい表現を解説していますので、本日の解説をチェックしてみましょう。
Just, edged out by someone.
エッジアウトは僅差で勝つという意味の英語表現です。スポーツの試合や競争の場面でよく使われます。ここでのエッジは優位やわずかな差という意味です。つまり圧倒的に勝ったのではなく、ほんの少しの差で相手を上回ったというニュアンスになります。ニュース英語やスポーツ解説では非常によく登場する表現です。覚えておくと、英語の実況や記事が理解しやすくなります。
Just, edged out by someone. Just, edged out by someone. That ball was exactly where it needed to be.
Where it needed to be は必要な場所にあるべき場所にという意味の表現です。スポーツ実況では特によく使われます。例えば、パスやクロスが完璧な位置に出たときに、The ball was exactly where it needed to be ということができます。これはそのボールはまさに理想的な位置に出ていたというニュアンスになります。特別に難しい単語はありませんが、 ネイティブがよく使う自然な表現の一つです。
That ball was exactly where it needed to be. That ball was exactly where it needed to be. I don't know who was on the chase there, to be honest.
On the chase は追いかけている、追走しているという意味です。スポーツでは相手選手やボールを追っている場面で使われます。例えば、裏へ抜けたボールに対して守備側の選手が追いかけるときに使えます。The defender は on the chase なら、そのディフェンダーは追っていたという意味です。chase 単体は追いかけるという意味で、比較的よく使われる単語です。on the chase になると、追跡中の状態を表す自然な言い方になります。スポーツ実況や試合解説では十分あり得る表現です。映画やニュースでは、警察の追跡の場面でもよく使われます。
I don't know who was on the chase there, to be honest. I don't know who was on the chase there, to be honest. So like Poro couldn't get anywhere near it.
Can't get anywhere near は全く近づけない、全然届かないという意味です。スポーツでは選手がボールに届かないときによく使われます。例えば、The defender couldn't get anywhere near it なら、その守備者はそのボールに全く届かなかったという意味です。この anywhere near は強調の表現で、少しも近くに行けないというニュアンスを出します。物理的な距離だけでなく、レベルや数字に届かないときにも使えます。会話でも実況でもよく出る便利な表現です。
So like Poro couldn't get anywhere near it. So like Poro couldn't get anywhere near it. And I think there's been a tick up in his performance recently.
ティックアップは少し上がる、わずかに増えるという意味です。大きく急上昇するのではなく、じわっと上がる感じがあります。売上、物価、数字、成績、パフォーマンスなどによく使われます。例えば、His performance has ticked up recently なら、最近、彼のパフォーマンスは少し上向いてきたという意味です。ニュース英語では Prices ticked up や Inflation ticked up のようによく出ます。スポーツでも Form ticked up のように使えます。細かい上昇を自然に表せる便利な表現です。ticked up とすると、少し下がるという反対の意味になります。
And I think there's been a tick up in his performance recently. So I thought, he was a tick below, Wharton.
A tick below は、ほんの少し下、わずかに劣るという意味です。何かを強く否定するときではなく、かなり良いけれど比較すると、少しだけ下だと言いたいときに使います。ここでのティックは、わずかな差を表します。大きな差ではなく、ごく小さな違いを柔らかく伝える表現です。スポーツの評価や日常会話で使いやすい言い方です。少し上なら、a tick above ということもできます。
So I thought, he was a tick below, Wharton. Wharton.
いかがでしたか？鎌田大地にゴールやアシストがなかなかつかないのが残念なところですし、この動画でも言っているように、周囲をスキャンし、ボールを逆足で受け、蹴ながらすぐにパスを通せるような体の使い方は、鎌田も全く同じレベルでできるようにも感じていますが、確かに、鎌田のパスは、縦パスがメインで、狭いスペースを通すために、基本的に強くて速いパスが多く、アタッカー陣が一度うまくトラップしないといけないパスは、そのパスが速すぎるために、うまく抑えられていないことも多いようにも感じますし、ウォートンのパスは、優しいパスも多く、この試合のアシストのように、ワンタッチで決めるだけというパスが、アシストにつながっているようにも感じました。鎌田の良さも十分すぎるほどあり、それがなかなか伝わりづらいものでもあると思いますが、ゴールやアシストの数字も期待したいので、ちょっとウォートンらしいような優しいアシストもぜひ期待したいと思います。この動画でも言っていたように、楽しそうにプレーしているようにも見えますし、それも何より、鎌田が帰ってきてから、試合にも勝てるようになったからだとは思いますが、このパフォーマンスを続けて、今シーズンも終盤で、パレス旋風を見れるのを楽しみにしたいと思います。本日もご視聴いただきありがとうございました。またすぐにお会いしましょう。